It's been a year and a month and a week since I've last posted on this channel. However, I felt like receiving an arc of The Lost Metal, the final book in Era 2 of the Mistborn series, was enough of a catalyst to inspire me to return and make a review of The Lost Metal. So here I am. Big thanks to Macmillan Publishers for sending me an advanced copy of this book, a physical hardback copy of this book, along with an audiobook version and a cool set of Bluetooth earbuds and some cool little vials. Can you see that? Some cool little vials with metals in them so that when it's time for me to burn some metals and practice my metallic arts, I've got those. And so these two and probably like 3 or 4, 5 or 6 others, not all 16, not all 20, including the god metals. Don't worry, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. This entire video, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I want you to experience it yourself. Being the 4th book in the Wax and Wayne series and the conclusion of Era 2, I don't want to get into any of the nitty-gritty stuff, but I do want to give just kind of my overall feelings and thoughts of the book, and I want to do it this way. Up front, I want to give you my quick summarized opinions of my experience with The Lost Metal, so that if you don't want to stick around to the end, you can watch just my quick thoughts and you can go and watch another video. And then after that, I will go a little bit more into detail, still spoiler free, talking about my feelings at large, talking about the plot, talking about the characters, talking about all of those things I want to get a little bit more into detail with. But up front, I just want to declare that Sanderson has done it again. And it shouldn't be too much of a surprise for those of you that have been following Brandon Sanderson for some time. He always does it, in my opinion. He always succeeds. Now, to varying levels of success, not every one of his books for me are 5 stars, although he's one of my favorite authors of all time, and I think he's probably the best fantasy outputter, contemporary at least. I love each of his works, but not equally across the board. But The Lost Metal is up near the top of his catalog. Here in Lost Metal, you've got high action, you've got tons of questions that are going to be answered, you've got some incredible character moments, and you've got a satisfying conclusion. In my opinion, The Lost Metal is the best book, hands down, in the Wax and Wayne series. In fact, it's the only book in the second era that I gave a full 5 stars. Now into the actual review. The Lost Metal takes place a whole 6 years after the concluding events of Bands of Mourning, which I felt Bands of Mourning was kind of a low for the series at large. But I wasn't expecting it to start 6 years after the fact. I think Wax is either nearing or in his 50s. Like, he's becoming an older man, and he stepped back from the, action that Wax and Wayne have been involved in the past, and he's more involved in the political sphere of Ellendale. But the set, this devious, shadowy organization that has been around for the past few books, is still behind the scenes, and they are creating something bad for the city of Ellendale. And so Wax must step up and once again become the sword for harmony, and he, along with Wayne and Steris even, and Marcy in a big way, have to step up again to not only put a stop to the set and what the set is doing, but there's this mysterious dark force known as Trell that is rising in power. And as Trell is rising in power, the power and authority and vision of the god Harmony is decreasing. And so again, Harmony relies on what Harmony has at Harmony's disposal, and it is Wax, Wayne, Marcy, and Steris. The Lost Metal is the most Cosmere aware book to date. The Cosmere, you know this by now, right, is Sanderson's universe that a lot of his stories take place in, different planets, different magic systems, different plots, but over time they've been more interwoven, and in this one, again, it's the most Cosmere aware to date. So you're going to have other planets talked about, other magic systems talked about, other characters revealed that are not from Scadrial. And so You can read this book with only a cursory awareness of the Cosmere and enjoy it, but you will be lost from time to time and you will have a lot of questions. I would strongly encourage you to have read the original Mistborn trilogy and Secret History. Those are kind of like non-negotiables here if you want to not just be saying, what? All the time. But if you want to get every single piece and know where every single character comes from and know what every single character is talking about, then I would encourage you to read it all. Probably in publication order. You can go through the Stormlight Archive. You can go through Elantris. You can go through all of these other stories and books. The Emperor's Soul, I think, is even an important one to read here. And then you won't have as many questions, although you'll still have to theorize some of like, who is this and where's this person going? But the most Cosmere aware Sanderson book to date. As previously mentioned, the action in The Lost Metal is plentiful. The threat is presented near the very start of the book, and it's not resolved until the very end of the book, like the last chapter or two. And so from the beginning to the end, we're like a missile on a straight line getting to our destination. There's a few pit stops throughout, but every chapter seems like it's moving the cog so that we are getting to some kind of resolution. And with that action, there's tons of fight scenes. Wax and Wayne meet their match multiple times throughout the book, and which provides for some really cool like allomantic battles and metallic arts, some really cool flashy scenes seen there, and Sanderson doing some really cool thing with his magic system. I love the evolution that he's brought in this era to the metallic arts, and it's on display in all of its glory here. Even with all of the drama and action, there's still plenty of times for not the story to slow down, but for us to get some real meaningful character moments between Wax and Wayne, between Wayne and Marcy, between Wax and Steris, and all of these different things. Marcy, by the way, has a lot of screen time in this book, which is really good. She became actually, by the book's end, one of my favorite characters in the series. She's really cool, has some really cool opportunities and moments, some really cool interactions. By the way, our characters are split up a lot of times in this book. There's a lot of different POVs, not just from the 4 characters that I mentioned, but from some others. And we're going to a few different places on a few different sides of the mission here. Wax and Wayne spend a lot of time together. Marcy on her own with a different crew, and then Steris, back at home doing her own political maneuverings as well. But we get to see each of those and get some quality time with each. I felt like Steris' chapters were a little bit slower, but she is dealing with more of the political stuff, which for me isn't as exciting. But like I said, nothing is slow here. These chapters, there are a lot of chapters, but they're also relatively short. And so we're kind of hopping from one moment to the next. And Sanderson, as he always does really well with heightening the intensity and then going to a different chapter and dealing with something there before bringing us back to the moment of intensity. So it's always keeping you on the front of your seat, expecting and ready for what's next. We also get a lot of answers to our questions. It's been fun over these past few weeks to get on Reddit and see some of the Reddit threads as different chapters have been released in the past few weeks. And virtually every single question that I'm seeing people pose and every single theory that I'm seeing people have are answered here. Like, Sanderson does a good job at giving us the answers to the questions that we've had for so long, like who is this and what is this and why is this? All of those things are answered. I don't think many readers are going to finish this book dissatisfied with the amount of answers that they have. They might not like the answers that they have, but they're not going to be dissatisfied because he does a really good job of providing those answers. And you don't even have to wait till the end. You're going to get some of those answers straight up near the front. At the end of the book, sure, you do have, you might have a few questions, but I think your questions are going to be what happens next? What does this mean for the future of the Cosmere? What does this mean for the future of Scadrial? I think those are going to be the questions, not who was this or why was this or what was this. I think, again, Sanderson does an incredible job of answering those questions in a way that is truly satisfying. While I still prefer Mistborn Era 1 to Mistborn Era 2, I think this was an incredibly fun sandbox for Sanderson to play in. To take it was a grand experiment, right? To take a world and a magic system and advance it a few hundred years and allow the characters and the lore from the original series to be the gods and the deity and the street names, and, you know, lay the foundation for a second era, and to advance the world and the magic system is not something I've seen done before. I'm sure it has been done in other fantasy series before, but it is not incredibly popular because it is a huge undertaking, and I can confidently say that Sanderson has succeeded here with his grand experiment. Wax and wane, a kind of Wild West environment on the edge of modernity. It's just a brilliant idea, and he did so well with it. I don't think every book hits its stride perfectly in this era. I don't think that, you know, none of them captivated me in the same way as some of the characters and story moments from the original trilogy. But I don't care. It's still good. It's still Sanderson. The evolution of the magic system, which I've already mentioned a few times, was so intricate, so well refined, and still sticking to the rules that he outlined, so it feels so real. It's just stuff that I really respect and really loved about this series, and makes me really excited about Era 3. I know I'm probably way ahead of myself, because I think this is 2025 when we might get the first entry in that series. So, I mean, Sanderson is man. He puts out his books. I don't know about anything else, but he puts out on his books and his promises, and so I think we're for sure going to get an Era 3. I don't know when we're going to get that. But if you don't know, Era 3 right now is supposed to be like on the edge of the computer, you know, revolution. So like kind of like related to our maybe 1980s. And I think right now we're getting a young terrorist woman who is a nerd, a hacker maybe even. And it's going to be somewhat of a spy thriller. Any of that can change. But that is kind of some of the rumors right now. And a success with Era 2 makes me incredibly hopeful for success in Era 3. What did you think about the Lost Metal? Was it everything that you hoped for? Did it meet, exceed, or fall short of your expectations? Let me know in the comments down below. And for those of you that are still here at the end of this video, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still reading. I think the Lost Metal was probably like my 65th read of the year so far. I've been doing all my reviews over on my Goodreads, which you can find that link down below. I hadn't felt compelled or interested enough or inspired enough, might be the word, to make these reviews or videos anymore. And you might see some more from me in the near future. I'm not promising anything. When I was doing this hardcore a year plus ago, I was doing 2 videos a week, and that was fun, and I was inspired, and it was easy for a while, and then I just didn't enjoy it anymore, so I didn't do it anymore. But I know some of you are still around. I still get comments regularly, almost every day, still getting a lot of views and even some subscribers. So thank you to all of you who are still here. Thank you to all of you who are still subscribed. Thank you to all of you who still comment and watch my videos, and for watching this video after a year plus of not putting out anything on this channel. There might be more in the future.